Welcome to our units on gender issues. So today in our first section, Mike and I are going to discuss about gender inequality in workplace. So Mike, why don't you start about giving an introduction of this issue?
Okay, I will do that. Gender equality in the workplace is a hot issue, and it goes across all cultures. And some cultures treat it differently than others, but today we're going to focus primarily on American culture and equality or inequality in the workplace for men and women. We've got about 10 examples here that we're going to discuss briefly, and these are things that, again, for most of our viewers, for Taiwanese students, even though this is talking about American culture, these are things that you should still be aware of as you enter the workforce, because you are a new employee, you don't have a lot of work experience, so you have to become aware of what you may encounter in the workplace and know how to react to it. Okay? So let's take our first example of unequal pay. Unequal pay is something that is really a hot topic in the U.S. because we see generally in our culture, in American culture, that men might receive a higher salary than women for doing pretty much the same kind of work. There's kind of a stereotype involved there where some people are still of the mindset that women should be home in the kitchen, wearing an apron, cooking dinner, cleaning the house, and so on and so forth, and that maybe they don't bring as much value as their male counterpart to the workplace.
So Mike, thanks for pointing that out. I think in the reading, I also mentioned that even in the March in 2017, well, still, right, American women, right, found they don't get equal pay to men. And according to the reading, actually, the gender inequality ratio is really clear in the United States than in other countries. I think one of our colleagues also mentioned previously that perhaps, right, women only get like 10% of the salary compared to men. They are still getting 90% of all the salary.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty wide range, but I think what human resources personnel need to understand is that you don't base your hiring on whether it's male or female. You base it on their knowledge and their experience and what they can bring and how they can benefit you as an employer. And I think if we can get past that mindset of, oh, he's male, therefore he's going to be more valuable than the female, or I take the female because I can pay her less, that still is not fair and that's discriminatory. And I think we need to recognize that and take steps to get that out of our mind and out of our culture.
And I think the second part about interview is even more important because, right, all of the students are going to go through different interviews to get a job when they graduate. So what might happen during an interview?
Right. In fact, it's kind of interesting. I think it's almost a contradiction in the U.S. because they say, well, we can't discriminate against you because of your age, your gender, your origin, your religion. And at the same time, if you ask a question of a woman interviewee, for example, are you married? Then that opens up a whole can of worms for us in the sense that if the woman says, no, I'm a single parent, what does that tell the employer? That tells the employer, oh, if your child is sick, then you will not be coming to work that day. But a male will not get that question. Even, and I use myself as an example, I am a single parent and I have my son at home, but I'm not going to let that interfere with my ability to do my job. But nevertheless, I would probably never be asked that question in an interview just because I am male. So the other one is if you have a woman who comes in and she's pregnant, right away the pregnancy will mean that, oh, wait a second, she's going to go on maternity leave, I still have to pay salary for her for the time that she's out, and then who knows, maybe the baby will have some health issues, she's got to be off for more time. Maybe it's better, I just don't hire her. Well, that's discriminatory as well.
So I think like during the interview, even it's a male, right? It's highly possible that, well, he is married. And it's also possible for the male to take paternity leave as well. Even, right,
Yes.
his wife is giving birth to a child. So I think that's basically our short discussion about gender bias in workplace in our first discussion section. Now we have 2 questions to ask you regarding our discussion. My first question is, do you think you will take paternity leave or maternity leave when there is a newborn child in your family in the future?
And my question is, especially for the females, is if an employer asks you if you are married, do you think that is a proper or an appropriate question to ask you when you're interviewing for a job?